snob. I'm just rich, like you.
Me? I don't feel rich.
Well, that's because you don't use your money to its best advantage. You never go shopping for expensive things. You don't travel.
I think my husband is traveling enough for the two of us. Thanks.
Speaking of traveling, I think perhaps I'd better go. I overheard your phone conversations earlier, and I gathered that Nicole and Miles are coming.
Well, yeah, they are, but you don't have to rush off.
Oh, no, I have things to do. My goal for the day is to transfer 6 dresses from the designer shop at Bennett's into my closet. So I better get started.
Well, have fun.
You don't seem your perky self. Is something wrong?
Well, it might have something to do with the letter I got from Draper.
Oh. Did it start out, Dear Jane?
Oh, Raven, I hate to disappoint you, no. It's just a change of plans, but he won't be back in Monticello for that week as he had hoped.
It must have been something very heavy involving the investigation that he didn't come home.
Oh, I don't know. Something about, some man who they tentatively identified as a deposed South American dictator who happens also to be one of Bryson's patients. Obviously, he didn't like the publicity and jumped town on it.
I heard about that.
Yeah, well, in any case, Draper's too busy now to come back.
Well, did they identify any of Dr. Bryson's other clients?
Sure, his legitimate patients.
Well, I think you should tell Draper to come right back here where he belongs with his wife and growing family.
Oh, well, that's easier said than done. He does not like to admit defeat. For heaven's sake, who does? I certainly don't want to add any pressure on him by making him feel guilty about quitting.
Well, what's so important about this investigation anyway?
I don't know. It's important to Draper, it's important to the police, and I can think of, well, at least one other person who'd like to know a little bit more about Bryson's patients. Valerie Bryson herself.
And why is she so curious?
Well, it may sound silly, but she fell in love with one of Bryson's patients, a man who was having facial reconstruction, so the whole time that she spent with him, she never even saw what he looked like. I don't know, I think that's kind of romantic.
I think it's morbid.
Well, the story moved me. The guy was a soldier in Vietnam. That's where he got hurt. I remember his name. Lieutenant Diedrichson.
Attack her again like that, I'm just praying that the incident doesn't leave any kind of lasting scar.
Let's just be glad that our lover boy was interrupted before anything could really happen. Anyway, don't worry about it. When I get through with this clown, he is going to regret having ever even looked at your sister.
Derek, it's going to be impossible to get an indictment.
Why do you say that?
Because when I went to the Whitney mansion, Gunter denied making any kind of a move on Jody.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all.
The point is that Sky Whitney backed him up. Said that nothing unusual happened. Gunter may have made a nasty remark or two, but that Jody overreacted.
First thing we got to do is get Jody down here tomorrow morning. Have her make out a formal complaint against Gunter. I can't do a thing until I get...
She won't do it, Derek.
Why?
She says she feels like she's already been through the ringer and she doesn't want to make any more fuss over it.
Well, if she won't make a complaint, then her only recourse is just to stay out of his way.
That's twice now. She's come home half scared to death by that creep. And, you know, considering how reluctant she is to talk about, there may be other times we don't even know about.
Come in.
Hello, Chief. Doc.
Hey, Damien.
Oh, Tyler, I'll be right with you as soon as I sign these requisitions.
Listen, I've got to go. We will keep in touch about this.
If she changes her mind, you call me.
Oh, you can count on that.
Oh, wait a minute, Miles. Why don't you come to lunch with us?
Oh, I'm sorry. I've got a luncheon engagement in a penthouse.
Oh, well, we can't really compete with that.
I'll get out of here right now. My sister will probably serve me gruel for being late.
Take care, Doc.
See you guys.
You all set?
Yeah, I'm ready when you are.
Okay. I'm ready.
Actually, Chief, I'm really glad that the doc couldn't make it to lunch. See, the reason I asked you was because I thought it was about time that I told you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but.
What'd you do that for? You scared me half to death.
Well, you scared me half to death the other night, Clifford.
Clifford? Something tells me our relationship has deteriorated in the past 2 days. You got me mixed up with the wrong guy. What'd I do?
You left that teddy bear on my doorstep, that's what.
Well, I had a choice between that teddy bear or a stuffed giraffe. Did I make the wrong choice?
Cliff, I thought you were a prowler.
I'm sorry. Look, I came and I went on tippy-toe. I didn't want to scare you, really.
Well, you know, I have an awful lot on my mind, and I don't need false alarms like that.
Well, it was just when I was over your apartment, you said how lonely you were, how you didn't like to be alone in that big place, and, well, on the way home, I passed this all-night teddy bear stand, you see, and I thought one of those cute little fellas keeping you company might make you feel better.
I'm sure your intentions were good, but...
Well, my intentions were great. First of all, I had to ransom him away from his captors, and then we stole away off into the night. And, of course, I had to fix him up with an adorable name.
Oh, yes, Cliff?
Yes, me and that bear have a lot in common.
You both have beady little eyes.
Ha, ha, ha. No. Women find both of us cute and cuddly. You ought to check it out sometime.
Is that a fact?
Yes, it is. Well, did you take Cliff the bear to bed?
No, actually, he's decorating my chair.
Your chair? How could you do that, Valerie? How could you make that cute, cuddly bear spend the entire night sitting up? I report you to the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Stuffed Animals.
Don't get carried away, Cliff.
Hey,
I'm really not in the mood.
As your legal counsel, I should advise you that you can be held responsible for all the chiropractic bills that bear incurs, you know. I mean, couldn't you hear him in the middle of the night crying out, "Oh, Valerie, my back, my back!"
No, I didn't hear him call for a doctor at all. Really, I think he's just fine.
No wonder my back is stiff. I can sleep sitting up. It's a good thing I got him some presents, or else he would never talk to you again.
What?
That's just in case he goes out in the rain, he won't catch cold.
Oh, Cliff.
I got the receipt if they don't fit. And here, this is because I'm sure when he grows up, he's going to want to play for the Bears.
Oh, you are too much. Oh, Cliff, I'm sorry, but I really don't have time for any nonsense. I have a lot to do today.
Well, hey, if we hurry, we can beat the rush to lunch. Come on, let's go.
Cliff, you are eating alone. I am very busy.
Maybe I ought to get a teddy bear for myself, huh? Hey, you don't have any more sessions this afternoon?
Well, just what do you think you're doing?
Look at your appointment book. Look, it's tomorrow afternoon. You got all the
Cliff,
sessions.
whatever is in this book is none of your business. How am I expected to get any work done? You pop in on me. Kelly pops in on me. Carlos sends me to lunch with Mrs. Whitney. I can't... Hi. Hi, Mrs. Whitney.
Oh, what a surprise. Hi, Cliff.
Well, hello, Raven. The pleasure's all yours, I'm sure.
Is there anything I can do for you?
Well, I was in the neighborhood, and I wondered if you would go out to lunch with me if you're not busy.
Sure. Why not? Oh, like it's been ages since I've been together with my husband.
Well, it's only temporary. And everything that I've heard suggests that it won't go on much longer.
Why do you say that? Because Dr. Bryson's done such a good job of covering up his tracks?
Well, it just seems that there's not much more evidence to be gathered over there anyway. And the minute that Draper resigns himself to that fact, he'll be hopping on the first Monticello-bound plane.
Maybe.
I'll tell you, closing up shop in Europe right now is going to be very difficult for Draper.
Now, why do you say that?
Well, because he's the kind of a guy who, when he does a job, he wants to do it 110%. He's not going to want to quit until he finishes what he set out to do.
Exactly why I have come to a decision.
Oh, I have a feeling I know what's coming.
Draper is not going to have to worry about coming back to Monticello because I have decided to pack not only my bags, but Julia's, and we are going to join Draper in Europe.
April, you can't do that.
Why not?
Because you are much too far along. Now, Miles, tell her that.
I can't give her any kind of advice. I'm her brother. I'm not her obstetrician.
And it is my OB who said it is precisely because I am so far along that I can travel. There's no risk to the pregnancy anymore.
Well, it just seems like you're taking an awfully big chance.
Nicole, I am healthy, my baby is healthy, and once I am with my husband, I will be not only healthy, but happy. And what better condition could a mother to be hope for?
Boy, you could be a little...
I have made up my mind. I miss my husband too much. It's just something that I have to do.
Well, I must admit, if Miles was the one in Europe, I'd be the first one making sure my passport was valid.
Don't encourage her.
You don't like the idea?
No, it isn't that. It's just that... I'm going to be a little disappointed. I have to be thousands and thousands of miles away from my new little nephew or niece when he gets born. But you got my blessing.
I thought about that. And, well, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I think it'd be kind of neat for Julia to have a little baby brother or sister with an accent, huh?
Well, I got news for you. All babies gurgle in the same language.
Oh. Okay, April, now that you've made this decision, you must have 1,000 loose ends to tie up.
No, really. Just this apartment, really.
Yeah, what are you going to do with it?
Well, I certainly don't want to sell it, and I don't know, I think it'd be more trouble than it's worth to close it up, so I guess that's where I came up with my other brilliant idea.
And that is what?
Would you two consider moving in? So it just makes perfect sense to me.
Oh, April, considering our family's kind of modest beginnings, I don't know whether I could get used to living in a penthouse like you have.
Come on. Look, that house over there is too cramped for all of you. Move in here while you're looking for another place. Plenty of room for the two of you, for Adam, for Jody.
Say nothing of the dog.
You gotta say yes. It'd make me feel a lot better about leaving.
Well, certainly is a magnificent apartment.
Oh, let's see. It's got 3 bedrooms, a study, a maid's room.
And a kennel would be perfect.
It is perfect, and it's also a perfect location. Look, you won't even have to drive to work. You could walk to the office. And Nicole, you'd be 10 minutes by car away from the station.
That is a point, Miles. I'd be able to get home a lot easier between broadcasts to be with you and Adam.
I must say, April, you're dangling an awfully attractive carrot in front of our noses.
Well, is it yes? Will you take it over?
Why'd I let my wife make the decision?
Look at her face.
Well, the specialties today are Sid's Texas chili, seafood salad with vinaigrette dressing, and linguine with a clam sauce.
Well, that's quite a variety, Sid.
Oh, well, spice of life, they say. Do you know what you want, or do you want me to come back in a few minutes?
I think I'll just have a turkey sandwich on whole wheat with lettuce and tomato, thank you.
Okay.
I think I'll have the seafood salad.
Well, now that's a good choice. That'll just take a couple of minutes.
What made you finally decide now that it was time for us to talk?
Well, I guess it just wore me down, Chief.
I don't buy that. Come on.
How about it? You ready to hear about the life and times of Damian Tyler Wilcox or not?
Well, I've already heard some bits and pieces, and I think I've managed to put some of the rest of it together myself.
I'd only expect that, considering your profession.
I know your dad, the late Fowler Wilcox, was very high up in the State Department when he found himself a few years ago embroiled in a very sticky situation.
That's true. There were allegations. My father had a top security clearance. The State Department gave him some classified documents to keep under his charge. One day they disappeared.
You couldn't account for them?
No, he couldn't. And that's when the rumors started. People were saying that my father was heavily in debt and that he intended to sell those documents overseas. Well, part of the rumor was true. My father wasn't dead. My mother suffered a very long and serious illness. The medical expenses were astronomical. My father borrowed heavily. My mother died anyway. My father was terribly shaken. Somehow he just never got over the loss. And then when the documents disappeared and he was accused, I think it was just too much for him. Chief, I loved my father very much. As you know, I feel very strongly about what happened to him. I also feel very strongly about a man named Jefferson Brown.
Who was this?
He was my father's executive assistant, you might say. He was his protege.
Where does he fit into all this?
He fits in perfectly. He fits in too damn perfectly.
Wait a minute, are you saying that this guy was somehow...
I think that Jefferson Brown knew a hell of a lot more about what happened to those documents than my father did.
Wasn't he ever interrogated?
Of course he was. I wanted to talk to him myself. Unfortunately, he went on a vacation to Switzerland and was killed in a plane wreck.
Hi. I'll be back to take your order in just a minute.
Okay. So here we are.
Yes, here we are.
Our last conversation here ended a bit abruptly. It was very kind of you to give me a second chance.
Raven, I'd like to set the record straight.
About what?
About your concerns regarding my relationship with your husband.
Well, you were a face in my husband's past, and a very pretty one.
We were little more than casual acquaintances. I can assure you, you have nothing to worry about. I mean, I am no femme fatale, and I certainly have no designs on your husband.
If you say so, I believe you. The case is closed.
Fine with me. I mean, it really does seem sort of silly for you to dislike me for a reason that doesn't even exist.
Hey, I didn't come here to talk about Sky anyway. Actually, I'm interested in you because of something April Scott told me.
What was that?
Well, she said that you had a very unique experience a few summers ago in your father's clinic, and I found it fascinating. I'm a romantic, and it sounded very romantic.
I became very friendly with one of my father's patients. He was an Army officer who was having a complete facial reconstruction.
She told me his name, but I don't remember.
Diedrichson. Lieutenant Jim Diedrichson.
Right. So what happened to him?
Well, that's a good question. I had to go back to school, and he was released from the clinic, and I never saw him again.
So you never actually saw what he looked like?
He was always swathed in bandages. I wouldn't recognize him if I passed him on the street. Except, of course, if he told me his name.
Did you sleep with him?
You really have a one-track mind.
Well, I mean, we're having girl talk. What harm is it telling me?
Raven, last time we were here, you asked me if I slept with your husband. And now you want to know if I've had an affair with a man you don't even know.
Oh, I'm curious. It's part of my charm.
Well, I'm sorry. That kind of charm just escapes me. And as a matter of fact, I've lost my appetite, so please excuse me.
What happened to Miss Bryce? Did she forget she had something to do at the photo shop?
I guess something like that. Looks like it's going to be lunch for one.
Well, what would you care to have, Mrs. Whitney?
Oh, the usual salad. Could you please deliver it over there, because I am going to dine at that table. Don't shoot. It's only me.
Well, look who's here.
Hello, Derek.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. You certainly look beautiful today.
Thank you. I hate to interrupt any high-level police discussion that may be going on here, but I am having a little bite to eat and I'm alone, so could I join you?
I don't think that'd be a good idea.
I promise I'll be quiet. I won't even chew loudly.
Now, look, like you say, we are in the middle of a police discussion, okay?
Have a nice day.
Mrs. Whitney?
Oh, forget about the salad. It looks like it's going to be lunch for none.
Yes, I know she's interesting, but I'm still interested in what you were going to tell me.
Actually, I was just going to say something about Raven Whitney.
I already know more about that woman than I care to.
Chief, this is business. The reason I was interested in Martine Duval and that I'm interested in Raven Whitney is because they were both associated with the same man.
Skylar Whitney?
Precisely.
Why are you interested in him?
Sky Whitney happened to be in Switzerland the same time as Jefferson Brown. In fact, they were both on that same plane that crashed in the Alps.
Well,
Sky Whitney was the only one who survived. Frankly, Chief, I think Jeff Brown may have survived as well.